Welcome into Jets Overtime. We're presented by Sirius XM. Eric Allen and Quincy Anunwa here at MetLife Stadium. The green and white fall to 0-2 on the season with a 30-10 loss to the Buffalo Bills. Q, this was a disappointing game from the onset.
Yeah, absolutely. From the very beginning, they just couldn't get it figured out. On offense, obviously, you had the turnovers, the 3-and-outs, right? All those different things just kind of steamrolled and snowballed into the loss that we saw today. Unfortunately, once you get behind the 8 ball, it's just hard to really get forward.
Yeah, and the Jets certainly did get behind the 8 ball. You compare this to last week. First 4 possessions, the Jets score on their first 4 possessions. Today, on their first 4 possessions, they had 2 first downs. And the Buffalo Bills, on their first 4 possessions, 2 James Cook touchdowns, 2 Prater field goals. It was 20-0.
Yeah, a complete stark contrast between last week and this week. And, you know, after seeing last week, you expected them to kind of come back in and do something very similar. Buffalo had a great plan for them, from the zones to the mans to the blitzes to the pressures, right? Everything kind of worked all in conjunction. They found a way to stop the Jets' offense. And on defense, the Jets couldn't stop them at all.
All right, so bottom line here, the Jets got onto the board late in the 30-10 loss on a Tyrod Taylor touchdown to Jeremy Ruckert. Taylor was forced into the game today because Justin Fields sustained a concussion early in the fourth quarter. He was taken down hard on a Joey Bosa sack. His head hit the turf, and then he immediately went to the medical tent. So now we'll have to see what his status is for next week because the ball could be in Tyrod's hands in Tampa.
Yeah, and that'll change a lot of things. But honestly, though, they're very similar quarterbacks, so I don't think they have to change too much in the game plan. I think with Tyrod Taylor, he might have a different grasp of not just the offense but also the defensive coverage that will be going up against him. With Tampa Bay, they probably won't have to change too much about what they're doing, so we're going to see very similar coverages from them. I think it'll be interesting, though, how we see Garrett Wilson, all these other guys, how they perform, with Justin Fields no longer out.
Yeah, because if Tyrod is indeed the guy, he will take those 1 reps throughout practice. But as far as this game is concerned, the Jets, first possession, they were at a 3rd and long, and Fields had Garrett Wilson over the middle of the field. They could not connect. The Jets punt the ball. The Bills have a 3rd and long. One of the big explosive plays early in this game. Josh Allen gets it done with his legs, a 40-yard rush. Then later on that possession, looks like the Jets are in good shape. A 3rd down, 3rd and long, an incomplete pass from Josh Allen. But Michael Clemens is called for a roughing the passer penalty. That keeps the drive alive, and before you know it, James Cook is in the end zone from 1 yard out.
Yeah, and prior to that penalty from Michael Clemens, I think they also had a grounding, right? So I think there were a lot of things that could have went in the Jets' direction that unfortunately some mistakes on the Jets' side really made it a difficult game to kind of overcome.
Yeah, the Jets were battling uphill all day because at 7-0, they get the ball back, and then an ensuing play from the line of scrimmage, I think the second play, Fields is hit by Joey Bosa, and it's recovered by A.J. Epineza. And then before you know it, Prater's on, and he hits a field goal, and it's 10-0. And you're in a big-time hole to a team that has won the past 5 AFC East division crowns. After the game, Aaron Glenn talked to the media.
All right, first up, injuries. Tony Adams has a groin. We still have to evaluate that and see exactly where he's at. Jermaine Johnson had an ankle. All these guys, we have to see exactly where they're at. But he had an ankle. Michael Carter, he had a shoulder. And Justin's in concussion protocol, right? So when it comes to injuries, that's what we got. When it comes to this game, very disappointing, very disappointing. All 3 phases, to be honest with you. And I just told the players, first off, I got to take a look at myself. I want to take a look at every player, and I want to take a look at every coach. Right? There's no stone that won't go unturned, right, without figuring out the issue. But I do know this, and I told these guys this. I've been here before with 2 teams, in New Orleans and Detroit. The one thing that we're not going to do is we're not going to waver with not one bit. Not one bit. The brand that we say that we're going to play, right, we're going to play that type of game, right, and our guys will get better. The only thing we have to do is get ready to go back to work, all right, on Wednesday, and we'll go from there. I do know that. So any questions?
What can you pinpoint before watching tape, obviously, is where things kind of started to go wrong today?
I'm not about to sit here and blame this on the refs at all, right? Because I think they had more penalties than we did. It was some of the penalties that we had were things that we talked about that we shouldn't allow to happen, and those things came up, all right? So maybe I'll have to emphasize those even more, all right? And that's the way I look at it. That's something that I have to make sure I do a better job of. But other than that, they kept the ball, and we didn't keep the ball. It's just that simple.
What's on the penalties specifically? Did you think the Clemens roughing call was fair, a good call? And if
Well,
not,
the thing is, we know if they call that call, when you hit the quarterback high, when you hit him in the head neck area, all right, and that's just what they're calling now. So we have to be smarter than that.
You feel like that was a discipline?
Say it again?
You feel like that was an undisciplined penalty?
I just felt like it was a penalty. So call it what you want.
Do you feel like you guys beat yourselves in the first half? The fumble, the penalties, the missed tackles on the Cook run?
You know what? Yes. And usually when you lose to that fashion, that's what usually happens. So across the league, when you have those, that's what happens no matter what. So we have to look at that. And listen, I don't want to be a broken record up here, but I know for a fact we got to get back to work on Wednesday. And listen, we can't waver from the beliefs that we have. I do know that.
Jets football is back at MetLife Stadium for Week 5 as the Jets face off against the Cowboys on October 5th at 1 p.m. presented by Atlantic Health System. Get your seats now at nyjets.com/tickets. You are watching Jets Overtime presented by SiriusXM. Eric Allen here with Quincy Anunwa. What do you think of AG's comments there?
Yeah, I think he said exactly the right thing, right? They definitely shot themselves in the foot. It just was not a great presenting from them. 0 for 11 on third down, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to win any games if you can't win on third down. Obviously, they had 100% on fourth down, but that's not where you want to be. You don't want to live on fourth down. You want to get those third downs. Even though the Bills only had about 5 out of about 13 or so, they still helped to keep their drives going, as well as some negative plays from the Jets defense that allowed them to sustain some drives. We talk about that penalty from Michael Clemens being one of those ones.
Yeah, it was an interesting ball game throughout because Buffalo just took command from the start, and it felt like the Jets never could get their feet underneath them. Yeah. I mean, their first points came on a 51-yard field goal from Nick Folk at the end of the first half that made it a 20-3 game. And then the Bills, they dominated the third quarter as well. I think the Jets ran like 3 offensive plays in the third quarter. You had a long drive that ended up in a field goal, and then another long drive that finished up on Elijah Moore's touchdown run, and that effectively put the game away.
Yeah, and the Bills had 4 plays above 30 yards. Like, that's a great showing for them. Explosive plays will always help you win the game. I think the unfortunate thing, when you look at the end of last game and the beginning of this game, they kind of merged together. The Jets started off really strong in that last game. They ended it off not so well. Some missed plays on the offense, some missed plays on the defense that allowed the Steelers to come back and win. And then they started this game really slow. The Jets had the first possession and couldn't get it going. There was that third down play to Garrett Wilson that they missed. Yep. They ended up coming back to it after the fumble, and they made that completion, but they just couldn't sustain those drives. They couldn't keep getting those things going.
Man, that's a great point. And when they did hit Garrett Wilson, on the very next play, Arian Smith got the ball on an end around,
yes,
and that resulted in a 10-yard loss.
Exactly.
That's what kind of afternoon it was for the green and white. But you never have an off day, so let's get to the telestration.
Yeah, let's get to the telestration. I think, some things that happened today, obviously, that they didn't like, but some players did show up. One player that continues to show up every week is Quinnen Williams. Right here, the Bills are showing up in a run-heavy offense. So I'm going to kind of present this for you guys here. Quinnen Williams, one of the strongest guys on the team, pushing his man back. This is a 13 personnel, so you have 3 tight ends, 1 running back, so you know it's a run play. And watch Quinnen Williams, just strong, pushing his guy back. He's the furthest man in the back outside of the quarterback. Look at this, hand fighting, all those different things, right? And then the chase, right? That's a big man to be chasing you. Quinnen Williams continuing to show up for his team. He's a captain right there.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Jets, they were not able to get into those situations, favorable situations for the defensive line where they could start teeing off on Josh Allen because Buffalo controlled this game on the ground. They had 43 carries for 224 yards, averaging 5.2 yards a clip. They scored 3 touchdowns on the ground. We were talking about all week what was that going to look like at the line of scrimmage. On the other side of the ball, The Jets had 21 carries for 100 yards. Those numbers don't look that bad, but you have to factor into the equation that Fields got 30-plus on the one carry at the end of the first half.
Right,
But
exactly.
Buffalo did a really good job neutralizing the Jets' rush attack.
Yeah, definitely. Tyrod Taylor also had a rush in there. I mean, it was really difficult. And the one thing that you know when you're playing Josh Allen is you have to keep him in the pocket. And the Jets weren't able to do that. That's how he extends so many plays. That's what makes him great, is the fact that he can get out of the pocket, find his man. And if he can't find his man, he's going to pick up at least 5 yards every rush because he's just a dominant guy. That's the team MVP right there. Excuse me, the league MVP.
I thought everything was like a avalanche today because even the down where Allen got hurt, something happened with his face. I think he got a bloody nose, and they're treating him on the sideline. That led to a third down play. Mitch Trubisky comes into the game, and he gets 30-plus on a third down conversion to Joshua Palmer. Not a lot of bright spots there for the Jets today, but one came in the fourth quarter. Tyrod Taylor hits Jeremy Ruckert for a touchdown. Caroline Hendershot talked to Ruck after the game.
Here with Jeremy Ruckert. Jeremy, what wasn't clicking for you guys today on offense?
I think we just got behind drives. A couple penalties, turnovers, but credit to them. They had a good game plan, and trying to flush this, learn from it, try and start drives better, get more efficient on first down, and stay ahead of schedule. Because when we do that, when we're running the ball effectively, I think we're super confident in what we got, and just keep getting back to work and continue to grow this offense like we know what we can be.
Was it the little details that was the biggest difference from week 1 to week 2 for you?
I don't know if it was the details. I think it was just just responding to when things happen. I think that we could do a better job of that. Felt like we were on the sideline a lot. Keep bringing that energy. I feel like we did a good job of sticking together. Things didn't go as planned, but there's ways to learn from it and get back to work and stick together. And we're lucky this is week 2. We got a lot of time to get this thing fixed and get in the locker room, lock arms, and get this fixed as the offense can only do it ourselves.
What did AG say to the group after today's game?
Yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay to put that on tape. Another team in the division coming in here and playing like that. So look in the mirror. Don't point fingers. Lock arms. Figure out what you can do better to help the team, and take this one on the chin and continue to get to work.
I know it wasn't the outcome that you wanted, but there was one bright spot for you, getting your first NFL career touchdown right at the end of the game. How did that feel? I know a little bittersweet with the outcome, but was it a little bit of a bright spot for you?
I think I was just trying to tell the guys that whatever the score is, every time you go on that field, they record. The tape doesn't lie. So whatever you go out there, you have an opportunity to put something on tape, and everybody's watching it. So every opportunity you get to go out there, make the most of it, stick together, and play the style that you want to be seen when they cut that tape on. So yeah, it was obviously a blessing to get in there, but just to get in there and show everybody that there's no quit, there's no fight, and every time you get out there is a blessing. So
awesome. Thanks, Jeremy.
Cool.
The NFL Fan of the Year contest presented by Captain Morgan is back, and the Jets are looking to celebrate extraordinary fans who will represent the team at Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. Visit nyjets.com/Fan of the Year to submit your nomination now. You are watching Jets Overtime presented by SiriusXM. Eric Allen with Quincy Anunwa here. Of course, the Jets fall by a 30-10 score to the Buffalo Bills, so the Jets 0-2. Conversely, the Bills are 2-0. They have a Thursday night date with the Miami Dolphins, whereas the Jets, they're going to be going on the road now the next couple weeks. They got a date with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on deck, and that's going to be followed up with a Monday night game against the aforementioned Dolphins.
Ooh. That's going to be, in Florida twice.
Yep.
We just got a taste of the heat. One thing that is unspoken in the NFL is that when the other team is running the ball a lot, the offense is on the sideline for a very long time. Guys are sitting for a long time. It's not something that you make as an excuse, but it's something that you have to think about as a player. Like, I'm sitting in this heat for a very long time. That's going to cause me to be fatigued. You're going to go out there. You're not going to be playing as fast as you might have done in any other weather. So I think that's something they got to go back to and think about. Ruck spoke about it a little bit. Your legs kind of die a little bit. So you got to go out there and just, think about it for next game. You're playing in the heat for these next couple weeks.
On paper, you knew this was going to be a tough start to the season for the Jets, just in terms of opponents, because Pittsburgh made the playoffs last year. The Bills have won the past 5 AFC East titles, and now next week you're going to Tampa and facing the Todd Bowles-led team. And the Buccaneers are the only team in the NFC who's made the playoffs in each of the past 5 years.
Yeah, and Todd Bowles plays a really challenging defense, right? He does a lot of different things. I played with him for a good amount of time. I got to see that day in and day out. He can really confuse a young quarterback. Whether or not Justin Fields plays, he's going to confuse a quarterback out there. He likes to do a lot of different things. So it'll be interesting to see this defense versus the other defense. How do they kind of match up? And then obviously offensively, how are you going to put some points on the board? Because today was not what you wanted to show.
Yeah, and the Jets have to have more success through the air. You mentioned their third down conversions. I believe it was 0 of 11 today. Yeah. Ruckert's touchdown actually came on 4th down. But you do have a veteran quarterback who's seen it all, Tyrod. So if it indeed is his call, facing the Todd Bowles-led defense, this is going to be nothing new for him. But final thoughts here. Disappointing day overall because we had so much anticipation, excitement for this game after what we saw last week. No more moral victories against the Steelers, but the Jets put a lot of good film out there. Yeah. Today, this is going to be a film that they're going to look at and say, we have a ton to correct and let's burn it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I spoke a little bit about it, right? I think at the end of last game, I saw some things that might have hurt them, and they kind of showed up today. So the Jets know this, right? The coaches know this. And after a bad loss, you especially want to look at those things that showed up for the second week in a row. They're going to come back in the drawing board. They're going to make sure that they fix these things, especially the things that are more mental, like those penalties.
All right, for Quincy Anunwa, and I cast the thousands here at MetLife Stadium. We're signing off. We'll be here next week.